Hey there. Have you ever reached the end of your story or manga only to realize that you left out something important? Well, that happened to me. I thought this page would be quick and easy to produce, just a little pithy back and forth dialogue to wrap things up, but it didn't turn out that way. So let's break down how I made a mysterious benefactor, which is the 10th page for the chapter One of Us Part 2. Something I want these videos to get across is that the creative process is often messy. There's a linear path that goes from writing to storyboarding to revisions and then to producing the art and then to publishing. Sometimes you think you can shortcut things to get where you want to go faster, which is often straight into production. And then sometimes afterwards you forget something and have to go and figure it out as you go because you've already sidestepped the initial steps. Steps that would have potentially informed you of where you went wrong. This page is one of those pages. There's a reason why you're writing a scene or a chapter. It's because you've posed some question previously and it needs to be answered with more story. When I came at the last page of this chapter, I thought, easy, we just need to wrap it up. I was certain that my simple ending would be enough. And then, when I thought I was all done and ready to publish, a new thought occurred to me. Why did we go on this whole journey through Natsumi's history? I mean, other than I wanted to. It was fun to draw. I like continuing One of Us, which is Natsumi's origin story. But that aside, in this story, why did we have this chapter? That answer comes from the previous chapter called The Partnership. At the end of that chapter, Catherine wants to know more about Natsumi. She wants to know two things. What happened to her after she died? And how did she get the heart talisman? She wants Natsumi to tell her to build some rapport with her. And that's why One of Us Part 2 exists. And to me, that means this chapter needs to change a value that Catherine held. When this chapter begins, she's looking for more reasons to trust Natsumi. And in the end, that's the value that needs to change. Here's the wrench in the whole thing. I started One of Us Part 2 545 days ago. That is October 2023. And I finished it April 2025. So it's been quite a long journey. A lot of living's happened between then and now, and it's pulled me away from the comic for long periods of time. And yeah, so I forgot that it should dovetail back with the previous chapter. Like I said, there are two questions to answer. What happened after Natsumi died, and how did she get the heart talisman? The what happened is told through One of Us Part 2. Catherine and us get to learn a lot about Natsumi's origin. One of Us Part 2 doesn't answer Catherine's second question about the talisman itself, and my simple ending wasn't gonna cut it. By the way, the talisman is a magical girl MacGuffin. If you've ever watched Sailor Moon or Pretty Cure, they've got some kind of wand, compact, lipstick canister, an accessory that allows them to transform. In Magical Girl Kamiko, Catherine has a wand. Natsumi has a heart-shaped object that can turn into a staff. That is the talisman in the story, and that's the knowledge Catherine's after. But I wanted page 10 to be the last one. I wanted to move on, get back to the present day to continue the story from there. So with one page left, how am I going to get there? There are two ways I could have handled this. Option 1, add a few more pages to show how Natsumi gets the heart talisman. So instead of publishing what I had, I would have to figure out 3 or 4 more pages to fill out this chunk of the story. That means I'd have to commit to an idea, figure out a bunch of backstory, and that could end up going down its own tangent, and yeah, maybe take another 3 or 4 months to produce. Or option 2, we could use some writing to shortcut this and table the heart talisman discussion for another time. As you can guess, I chose option 2 in the end. This option was a couple hours of work. I changed their initial pithy conversation and expanded on it. This allowed for a little more character dialogue between Catherine and Natsumi, which is nice. I also got to make a reference to Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, which is also nice. And I got to call back to previous chapters, and for that, I was able to go back and clip bits of art and bring it from those pages and incorporate it into this page. I mean, it's all still my art, so I don't see why I can't reuse it in a different context to help build the story. Above all, I chose option 2 because I wanted to finish. Natsumi's answered Catherine's main question. The heart talisman could be hand-waved away for now. This can be a new thread to pull down the line. I certainly would like to make that chapter in the future. So that's a time trade-off I had to make, a few hours versus a few months. A perfectionist might think that they need to add 3 or 4 pages to resolve this plot point, but I think a few beats of dialogue work does the same amount of work. And so that's how I ended up introducing a mysterious benefactor, who is another one of the children whom we haven't met yet. It takes some of the lore that was built over this chapter and it puts it to work and develops events in a vague way that leaves a story thread open for me to pursue later. I think the answer Natsumi gives is satisfactory enough. But what do you think? What choice would you have made and why? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And with that, we've come to the end of One of Us Part 2. Next time, I'll be starting a new chapter with Catherine and Natsumi, so I hope to see you then.